Welcome to They Cast from the Coast.
Welcome everybody to They Cast from the Coast, the horror-centric podcast with a little bit of sci-fi and action thrown in for flavor. Just a little bit of flavor because we love our horror movies, don't we, guys?
We do.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Hey. Excellent. Thanks everybody for tuning in. My name is Adam Miles, and we got one heck of a good show for you guys tonight. This is an episode that we haven't really alluded to in the past week. We haven't really posted anything about what we want to do, but a little bit of a surprise episode because we wanted to kind of break things up a little bit here and kind of move into something a little bit different than what we have been doing. This was a great idea that was chucked on the table there, and I think we all just kind of went, "Yes, that's it." So we got some great content for tonight. So let's do the round table once again. To my virtual left, geek, artist, horror aficionado, all around great guy, Tim Johnson. Hey, buddy.
Hello to all the single ladies out there on the internet.
I guess
Nice.
We really are kind of making it a little bit different tonight then, aren't we? It's like normally it's like, hello, internet, hello.
Well, I mean, like I was saying to you guys earlier before the show, I just recently picked up a new mic and just kind of talking into it, I feel kind of like soulful.
You feel like a crooner.
Yeah. I mean, I can. Hello, internet. Hello. There you go.
Perfect. There's Tim. But he'll be updating his Tinder profile later. So swipe left, ladies. Yeah.
I like long walks on the beach and scrambled eggs made with love.
Oh God, man! What have we turned ourselves into?
I'm sorry. I'm done.
Perfect. Moving on down the line here, we have my brother from the same mother. I gotta say it every time, Dave. You know it. The reason why I am so addicted to horror movies because of his influence, being 5 years older than me. Dave Miles, what's up, buddy?
Hey, not much, man. Not much. Glad to be here and looking forward once again to tonight's show. So we're kind of breaking the mold a little bit and going with a little bit of a horror comedy tonight. So instead of straight up horror, so it's going to be fun. You have to break the mold sometimes. You got to kind of stretch out, and you have to explore different avenues. And of course, horror and comedy go hand in hand. And this is a great example of a horror comedy tonight that we're going to talk about. So it's going to be fun.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. So, Dave, how's your week been going, buddy?
This week has passed by so fast. Earlier this evening, I was sitting here thinking, geez, what have I done over the past week? And it's, my brain is just scrambled. It's like I can't even really focus on specifics. It just seems like the past week or so since we recorded the last podcast, it's literally flew by. As far as catching up on TV and movies, I had a chance one night to sit down and catch up on tonight's movie. I'd seen it when it first came out. Did we actually announce what we were talking about yet? Sorry, guys.
We did
absolutely
not. Dave, why don't you take the opportunity and tell us what we're talking about tonight?
All right. So tonight we are going to talk about the movie Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Yay!
So this is a favorite movie amongst the three of us. This is, as far as I'm concerned, one that sort of came out of left field. I remember, actually, I think you were the one that first mentioned it, Adam. You were like, "Hey, did you check out the trailer for this new movie, Tucker and Dale?" I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about? Never heard of it before." So I, brought up the old internet and did a search for Tucker and Dale, and lo and behold, watched this trailer and I'm like, oh man, I have to see this movie, and it didn't disappoint. It didn't disappoint. So it's going to be a really good discussion tonight. So
absolutely.
Yeah, so I had a chance to rewatch Tucker and Dale. I've only seen it a couple times, so I think the other night when I watched it, probably make 3 times I've seen the movie. So it had been a while since I've seen it last, so I caught up on that. And then, believe it or not, most of the stuff I've been watching this week, I've been catching up on horror TV. So versus the movies, been sitting down and trying to catch up on some Supernatural and Ash versus Evil Dead, and of course The Exorcist. The Exorcist, believe it or not, probably my favorite genre show on TV right now. It's outstanding. The writing is excellent. The storyline is progressing nicely. It's I don't know if you guys have had a chance yet to catch up. We've brought it up. We've mentioned it in previous podcasts, but man, it is a good show. Highly recommended.
Yeah, no, I haven't gotten to the point of going anywhere beyond episode 1 at this moment. This is one of those shows, I got so much on the go right now. I think I'm just going to binge watch it when it's available after the season ends.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm gonna do the same thing with American Horror Story. I usually binge watch all the episodes over the winter. I'm probably going to do that, but yeah, there's so much good stuff on TV genre on TV today that it's hard to keep caught up on. I don't know if you guys had a chance yet, but there's another new show that's been on HBO, and they just finished episode 7, I think it was, this past weekend. Westworld. Have you guys had a chance to check this out yet?
Have not had a chance to check out the show. No, quite familiar with the movie and its sequel, but have never actually witnessed the show yet. No, I think that's one of those ones I'm going to binge as well.
Yeah, I've been watching it week to week, and I'm not a huge fan of the original movie. It's dated. It kind of lags a little bit, and to be honest with you, I've never actually made it to the end. I get bored of it, and I have to turn it off. So I figured I'd give the TV show a chance, because I'm a huge fan of HBO television, and love all their content. So I said, you know what, I'm going to give it a try. I mean, I certainly like the premise, but man, let me tell you, I mean, I know it's not horror, but it's definitely riding that sci-fi fantasy line, and let me tell you, it is worth watching. But I think it's a show that probably needs to be binge watched. I've been watching it week to week. It's phenomenal, but it's like you just can't get enough of it. So
yeah, okay, fair enough.
Check it out.
Yeah, fair enough. Definitely will. Yeah, I've watched the original movie a couple of times, and I've managed to get through it based on some recommendation from some friends. When I went back and kind of watched some classic sci-fi from like the 70s and 80s that I had never really gotten into before. And the sequel is definitely nowhere near as the original. So if you can't make it through the original, you're never going to make it through the sequel. That's for darn sure. But good stuff, man. Good stuff. Yeah. Tim, how's your week been, buddy?
Not too bad, actually. I've come to a nice calm after the hectic schedule I was keeping getting ready for HalCon, but now I'm actually focusing on doing photography. So that's been fun.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Good.
But besides that, I've been my usual intake of horror movies, and I haven't watched as many of the horror TV shows that have been on recently, aside from aside from Walking Dead. But
you mean the new edition of Who's the Boss?
What do you mean?
Oh, no, nothing. You've caught up, haven't you?
Yeah, no, I have. I'm especially the latest episode completely blew me away. Like, it was such a simple episode. There wasn't a lot going on in it, but there was, and like most of the dialogue was directly lifted from the book. Like, it was such a good episode.
Are you talking about last night's episode?
Yeah,
Sunday night? Oh, okay, yeah. No, I haven't seen it yet myself, so.
Well, I won't spoil anything, but it's a really good episode.
Well, were you living on Easy Street? I'm sorry, I'm just checking out the references to the previous episodes now. Just seeing
that song is like when I get like a text message now. That's what plays.
Oh man!
I'm just gonna text message you and hope you eventually break.
Well, the original plan was to have it as my alarm to wake me up in the morning, and then I was like, no, I think because I mean, I like the song. It's catchy, right?
That's the problem.
I know, and I find myself singing it throughout the day. I'm in the shower, I'm making supper. You know what I mean? I'm going for a walk, whatever, and I'm like singing that song. I'm like, God damn you, Walking Dead.
Yeah, pretty much. I caught myself humming it today, and I felt pretty bad at that point. So,
yeah.
Excellent, man. Excellent. Well, from this side of things, I've managed to catch up with Ash vs. Evil Dead literally up until yesterday's episode. So I'm all caught up on that. The show is going fantastic, phenomenal. It just doesn't disappoint. The only thing that really disappoints is, and I think we've said this before, every week is more of a tease because it's not long enough.
Well, that's why I am not watching any episodes until it's done.
Oh, gosh, man.
Please keep very spoiler. I have not seen anything yet. I do not know anything yet. Because, like I said, watching season 1 was the most annoying way to watch it, literally waiting week to week. And, I couldn't do it. So I'm like, I'm going to binge it. When it's done, I'm going to binge it.
Oh, it'll be worth it in the end. I don't have as much self-control as you.
Do you know how many episodes they're going for this season?
I think it's like 15.
I'm not sure.
It's like 12 or 15. It's only a small season again. There's not that much to it. But I mean, that's a standard Stars thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So a lot of those games.
Well, they've got 10 episodes listed so far on Wikipedia, and episode 10 airs on December 4th. Versus, they had 10 episodes for the first season, so maybe they're gonna keep it at 10.
Might only be 10 if that's the case. I mean, last night's episode was 7.
Yeah.
So you might be watching it sooner than you think, Tim.
Oh well, that's awesome. Because, like I said, I loved the first season. I thought they captured the vibe, and it didn't feel like it was repeating itself. It had something new to say, and it was everything that I would have wanted in revisiting, Ash, and the whole, it was perfect. It was perfect for me. Because I love the series anyway, like the movie series. I love them. And my main concern was, they got Bruce Campbell in it, but is this going to be like a watered down TV version of Evil Dead, or you know what I mean? And it wasn't. It's, if anything, I think it's like worse than the movies. You know what I mean? With some of the stuff that they do.
Oh yeah. So some of the stuff that Sam Raimi's getting away with is absolutely ridiculously awesome. It's great.
It's so awesome. So I have very high hopes, and I'm glad that you guys are saying good things about season 2. That's what we're on, yeah. Season 2.
Season 2, yes.
Season 2.
You'll enjoy it. It doesn't let down. The only thing I'll say is it ups the ante this season. It's got great cameos. It's got great stories so far. And I don't know how they're going to wrap it up in just the next few episodes. But then again, didn't know how the first one was going to wrap up either, the first season. So.
But, I mean, the thing that they announced recently is they're going with, they've been signed for season 3.
Yeah, season 3 kicks off production soon, actually.
Yeah, they renewed it for season 3 even before season 2 started, apparently.
Well, and that's just beautiful because season 2 was renewed for, or it was kicked off before season 1 even premiered. So it's like every year, as soon as the season's getting ready to premiere, they're just boom, yes, we're going with the new season. So it's great.
And it's fantastic because, I loved the movie series, right? And it didn't look like they were ever going to revisit Ash versus the Evil Dead ever again. You know what I mean? Like, it was kind of one of those things that was always tied up in like production or schedules with actors or Sam Raimi or something. It just never looked like we were going to get any more Ash. And now, not only are we getting, you know, more Ash, but like we're getting a shit ton of more Ash. Like, if they keep making TV seasons, I mean, I would like to see another Evil Dead movie.
Yeah,
like maybe to wrap everything up.
Yeah, I could see something like that happening. But just for all intents and purposes, kind of finishing your thought in my head, I've always wanted an Evil Dead 4. I am on that side of the fence. I love the movies. I have wanted Evil Dead 4, Army of Darkness 2, whatever you want to call it. However, this is almost that much better to me because, you know, the first season alone was like 5 hours worth. What are the half an hour episodes? 10 episodes? 5 hours worth of Ash. That's
yeah. It was like an extended movie.
It was an extended movie. Now we got the next season here, and you know what I mean. It just keeps going and it keeps going, and I love it. I love everything about it. Sam Raimi is killing it, and Bruce Campbell has not lost a beat. Period.
Yeah.
So it's great. It's great. Yeah. So Ash vs. Evil Dead, love it. Haven't watched Walking Dead this week, but I've caught up until, you know, this week. So it's going good. I like it. I like it a lot. I can see where it's definitely going. Jeffrey Dean Morgan is absolutely killing it as Negan. So,
but no one question. Thing that I am going to say, yes, he is Negan.
Oh yeah,
he is Negan.
Oh, he is Negan.
But what I'm hoping after watching last night's episode, okay, and this seems to be the theme with everybody that I've been seeing online, is a little bit of Negan goes a long way, right? So to have him as the central character, you know, one of the main people in the episode, it almost felt too much Negan. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
I can understand that because he's one of those characters that he's so there. You don't need him in huge quantities.
No,
you need
a little
him
bit
to be secondary
goes
to
a long
what's
way.
going on.
Yeah.
I got to admit that's what I really liked about the episode last week.
Yes,
you know, he was there.
He was there, but you didn't need to see him. Like, he was like overshadowing the whole thing, and it was fantastic. In
the entire hour, he was only there for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, but the last night's episode, I would say maybe he was there 70% of the episode.
Nice.
And it was great. And it wasn't bad, but it was the feeling that I got after the episode was over. Did we really need to see him that much? Because, I mean, you know, there was a lot going on in the episode, and, you know, you haven't seen it, Adam, so I won't spoil it. But, like, he was there in a lot of the scenes, and like you said previously, last week's episode, it was the right amount.
Yeah. It was good.
So
that's great. So, in other news, though, a couple of other things that I found out that are really interesting. Let's follow up with this for a minute here. Actually, on really good news, I shared this with you guys earlier. So we've gotten a really positive response from the writer-director of Escape from Cannibal Farm. So
I know, I saw that. It's so awesome.
Oh man, it's great. So the guy's been really great about this, and he shared out the podcast, and he really liked where it was going. And some of the actors have started liking the post and everything else. So hey, you never know, people are listening, you know. And he said he can't wait for us to see it, which is going to be great. So that's great stuff. But let's kind of take that as a side note because I wanted to mention that. But we were comparing what we saw. And we said, this is exactly what we wanted. This trailer showed me everything that I have been wanting from a sequel, prequel, or whatever in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre universe, correct? Yes. I mean, that's what I said.
Yep.
With that news...
The other two of us agreed.
Yes, that's right. You guys agreed. So, with that, today they announced Leatherface, the prequel to the official sequel. That's how we described it, wasn't it, Dave?
I think so, yeah.
It's prequel to the official sequel, something like that.
Yeah, because Texas Chainsaw 3D was billed as the official sequel to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Exactly. Is being slated right now for beginning of January 2016 release.
Yeah, but there's 2017.
Or 2017, that's right, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but there's no confirmation yet on if it's a theatrical release or video on demand or was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see anything else. I know what article you're thinking of. I don't know if there's anything else posted on that, but
well,
it was interesting.
The thing that I thought was weird, though, was that they were saying January 2nd of 2017. And when you look at that, that's like a Monday.
And we haven't seen a trailer yet.
Yeah, and we haven't seen an official trailer yet. We haven't seen anything more than like a handful of behind-the-scenes photos and the poster, which doesn't really do anything for me.
Yeah.
So are you calling bullshit?
Not calling bullshit, just literally saying, I'll believe it when I see it.
That's kind of calling bullshit.
Yeah,
That's
okay, fine. I'm kind of calling bullshit. This seems like somebody got wind somewhere that they were possibly looking at doing something and whatever. So then all of a sudden somebody spouted off their mouth and now we're going to be waiting for it. It's going to be one of those movies. I'm getting more and more of the impression that this is going to be one of those movies that's going to sit on the shelf. It's going to be done. It's going to be packaged. It's going to be ready to go. But the production company isn't going to know shit to do with it. It's going to be sitting on the shelf.
Either that or with the hype that's starting to build around Escape from Cannibal Farm, these guys looked at it and go, "Whoa, wait a minute. We have this similar type movie coming out. What are we doing with this one?" And they just kind of plucked a release date and slapped it on just so people don't forget, hey, there's an actual Texas Chainsaw movie, a new one in the series coming out. Don't forget, guys, because it's a little weird. I think I know where you're getting at, Adam. I mean, it's a little weird that there's nothing. You get one teaser image, maybe once every 6 months.
Yep.
And then, but we're not hearing anything. We're not seeing anything. And then all of a sudden, Escape from Cannibal Farm, momentum is building. People are liking it. We talked about it on the podcast, and lo and behold, a couple days later, we have a release date for Leatherface, the prequel to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yes.
Little interesting. Yeah, it's a little interesting.
Yeah. I'm it's going to be one of those things. But unfortunately, when something like this happens, the only other thing that comes to mind for me is they're shelving it temporarily, tossing a release date out there. They're embarrassed by it. They don't like it, or they don't know how it's going to do when it competes against something else. And the first thing that comes to mind is, like you said again, Escape from Cannibal Farm. So it's I don't know what to do with this. It's just one of those things. But it's going to build up, and it's going to build up, and it's going to build up, and then all of a sudden when it does get released, I'm going to see it. And you know it as well as I do. Going into this, what's the first thing that's going to come to your mind? Why was this sitting for so long?
Yeah.
What am I about to watch? And it might not live up to anything to me. It really might not live up to anything. And that is a bit of a fear because, for me, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre is the de facto perfect horror movie for me. It is my go-to movie for everything. Mm-hmm. So I'm just kind of waiting on that. So we'll wait and we'll see how that goes.
Well, my fingers are crossed. I mean, it's just I find it odd. I find it odd that there hasn't really been a push to promote this movie.
No, that's exactly.
Considering that Texas Chainsaw is one of the bigger franchises in horror, why wouldn't you hey, Leatherface is back or whatever? You know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't you push that?
No, and that's exactly. And like I said, there's so many questions that it just builds up in my head, and the first thing that comes to my mind is they don't like it, they're embarrassed by it, or they really don't think that it's going to, stand up to the competition that's out there.
Or the information that we've been fed is bullshit, and you know what I mean? Like they just didn't give a release date yet because it's not ready yet or whatever.
Yeah. They did the same thing a few years ago with Texas Chainsaw 3D that we talked about in the last podcast. It was shot and it sat on the shelves for at least a year or two, because I remember when I saw Dan Yeager with that Saw cruise, and I asked him. I mean, I got a picture with him and everything, and shook his hand, and I asked him, I'm like, so when's Texas Chainsaw coming out? Like, when's the new movie coming out? Is it finished shooting yet? He goes, man, we finished shooting that like last year. He goes, I have no idea. It's in distributors' hands. It's it's above me. Like it's out of my hands right now. We shot the movie, and he had no idea what was going on with it. And I don't know. I mean, you guys like it. I thought it was a decent movie. I mean, certainly props for originality. I'll give any movie that. I mean, it's not a rehash. I mean, it was something new. It was a new idea. But companies, I think, get skittish. I mean, we've talked about it in earlier podcasts with film companies, with production companies gambling on new property, right? They get scared. I mean, you can't really say this is new property. I mean, it's Texas Chainsaw, but it's not a rehash. Like, I guarantee you, if they decided to remake Texas Chainsaw again, it would be pushed forward. It would be, marketed, and we would have already gotten a release date in the trailer. But because it's something new, I think these guys get worried. I mean, they're worried about how the audience is going to react. They're worried about. I mean, the internet, as good as it is today, it can also be a very, very bad thing for production studios, film companies, because I mean, one bad review or one bad remark, and it spreads like wildfire across the internet, and then all of a sudden you get it gains momentum, and so I think these guys sometimes tend to play it safe.
Yep.
Maybe not that they're worried. Maybe they're just trying to play it safe until everything is taken care of. I don't know. Like, it's just. I don't know, but we're seeing the same thing with this new Leatherface movie that we saw several years ago with the Texas Chainsaw 3D. It was shot and it sat on the shelves, for a few years, or at least a couple years anyway, before it saw a release. So, Anyway, they'll get my money. I'm a sucker for stuff like that. I'll go see it. I'll probably go see it theatrically. I saw Texas Chainsaw as well as the remake and any Texas Chainsaw movie that's been out in the last so many years that I could go to the theater and see it. I saw it, and I'll probably do the same with this one. So,
excellent.
We'll see.
So that's a bit of a good segue, being the fact that we talked about movies that are being shelved. Mm-hmm. Our main movie for the night, our main event that we will be talking about, it was actually shelved for 3 years. Did you guys know that?
Yes, I did, and it was a stupid reason why.
Tell us.
Well, it was basically the same reason why they shelved Texas 3D. It's taking a gamble on, a new original movie.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the same thing that they did with Trick or Treat.
Yes.
They shelve these great properties, unbeknownst as to what it's going to be with the crowds. But so Tucker and Dale was shelved for like 3 years themselves. So it's kind of a waste of time and effort and money, in my opinion, for these companies to be doing this. Just put the gamble out there, let it ride, and see what happens. But segue, once again, this is part of the segue, I guess. Let's talk about this for a second. Tucker and Dale versus Evil. The main reason why we were all so real hyped into wanting to talk about this movie tonight is because it is one of the great comedy horror movies. It really is. I have referred a lot of people to see this movie, and I've never had anybody leave this movie and say, Adam, that was total shit, I'll never listen to you again. That's right. I've never even had anybody say, Adam, the movie sucked, don't know what you're talking about.
Adam, you are an idiot. Why would you even do that?
Exactly. Now, I've heard that, but not in this context. Okay.
I was really hoping that you would take that and run with it a little bit, Adam. Thank you.
And I did not disappoint, did I?
No, you did not.
So in this context, no. And I've never had anybody disappointed with this movie. In fact, this is one of my wife's personal favorite comedy horror movies, period. And that's pretty good because she doesn't really like horror movies. But the absolute amount of blood, guts, and gore in this movie, she just laughs it off because it is in such a comedic context. It's ridiculous. Yeah. So, that being said, I figure it's a good time for us to do a little bit of a roundtable here. Kind of, once again, segue in and lead way in. Let's talk about some other great comedy horror movies for a couple of minutes. Tim, what are some of the best comedy horror movies that you've seen?
Aside from Tucker and Dale, because that would have been the top of my list.
Yes.
I really enjoy Evil Dead 2.
Okay, yeah.
Because, Evil Dead was unintentionally funny.
Yeah.
So when they came to doing Evil Dead 2, they just ran with it. And yeah. I love Evil Dead 2, but I would have to say Shaun of the Dead is probably one of my favorite horror comedies.
Shaun of the Dead, great movie.
Yeah.
I love Edgar Wright.
Yeah.
Amazing writer, amazing director.
And when he teams up with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, like,
oh yes,
you know what I mean? Like their movie, that trio is. Some of their movies are like the top. Well, they've only done maybe 3 or 4 movies together, but like all 3 or 4 of them are like my favorite.
Well, they did the 3 movies that he calls the Cornetto trilogy. He's got Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and The World's End, which are 3 fantastic movies.
World's End's fantastic too.
Oh, yeah, very underrated. But the reason why they work so well together, they had a lot of experience working together on the original TV series that he did, Spaced.
Yeah.
And for anybody who's never seen Spaced, I'm just going to say non-horror. It's got some horror elements, though, because Edgar Wright is a horror fan, so there's some really fun stuff in there, like, regarding, like, Resident Evil and stuff. Fantastic TV show. Laughed my ass off during the entire thing. It was just great. But Edgar Wright has proven himself. Another love of ours, the Marvel Universe, which we love. We talk about sci-fi and action and stuff on the side of it. Geek Speak does their own thing with this. This is great. Edgar Wright was originally slated to direct Ant-Man and started the process, and he had written the script.
Yep.
And in my opinion, Ant-Man has the greatest written character in any of the Marvel Universe movies to date.
Yeah, and the thing that, absolutely. And when he's telling his stories, and like the women sound like him, like it's just it's a great like group of scenes when he tells stories, and I hope that's a theme that they're going to continue with the next Ant-Man.
Oh man, it's perfect. And there was actually a run for it at the end of the Captain America Civil War. There was a sign up, like a petition online to get a short film made with the guy who played Carlos, recapping the entire Civil War story from his perspective.
Oh man, that would be amazing.
And I'm telling you, I would pay theater money to see a 5-minute short of that.
Yeah, I would too.
Because it's amazing. Period. But it's a testament to Edgar Wright. So the moment that he throws a horror comedy on the table, I'm there. I'm sold. It is what it is. And even then, you can even throw Hot Fuzz in the same, because it's about a serial killer in the somber town. And World's End is more sci-fi, but it's all great. No, it's great movies, man. Got any other favorites that you like?
As far as horror comedies, those are the only ones that are coming to mind.
Well, while you're thinking about that a little bit, Dave, what do you got, buddy? Horror comedies.
Well, horror comedies, I mean, certainly the first ones, the obvious ones that come to mind, ones that I personally like, Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness. I mean, those are probably top of my list. Yeah. Following closely behind that, certainly Shaun of the Dead. I mean, Shaun of the Dead to me is it's awesome. I mean, that was another one that I watched on a whim. I'm like, Shaun of the Dead, okay, kind of making fun of Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, that kind of thing. Turned it on, had no idea what it was, and just blew me away. I mean, just from the opening dialogue, it just blew me away. Funny stuff. Aside from that, I mean, I mean, certainly there are other horror movies that I like that certainly have comedic elements, but I wouldn't go so far as to call them comedy horror. I mean, Reanimator, an out and out horror movie, but certainly has its funny moments.
Yeah.
Same as Gremlins. I mean, we've mentioned Gremlins before. I mean, there are certainly moments in Gremlins which, to me, could be equal amounts horror, equal amounts comedy. And then Call Me Twisted, but I laughed my ass off when I watched American Psycho, not because it's a comedy horror, but just because I love the character that Christian Bale plays, Patrick Bateman. I mean,
absolutely.
Who doesn't like? Who's a horror fan that does not like Patrick Bateman, right? I mean, I don't know. It's just, again, not a comedy horror by any stretch, but you can't help but laugh at some of those scenes, right? And not that they're funny, but it's just, I don't know. I can't even describe it. Anyway, that's my list.
No, I entirely understand what you're saying there. My list is probably very similar to your guys, but I have another newer movie that I have to add to this list because...
Newer movie? I'm scared to change, Adam. What are you doing?
Tim, you don't understand.
What is this?
I'm scared to change, bud. I'm scared.
It's called What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that one.
Yeah, I don't think I saw it. I heard of it, but I've never seen it.
That's a great movie.
The director... So, once again, just like in comedy and stuff like this, I've got this penchant for New Zealand comedy. For some reason, it strikes my funny bone just like UK, British humor does. It's dry, it's there, it's funny as shit. The director was like the writer-director of one of my old favorite HBO TV shows, Flight of the Conchords.
Yes.
I love Flight of the Conchords. The guy went on to direct a ton of other movies. Eagle versus Shark, stuff like this. Some really obscure stuff.
I love Eagles. I love that.
Yes. But the best part is he directed this movie. And Tim, if you haven't seen it, you owe it to yourself to watch this movie.
Well, I love Jermaine Clement anyway, right? So I'm looking it up right now, and I'm like, why have I not heard of this? Like, because I think I did actually hear of it, but I didn't watch it. I've never seen it.
You were doing yourself a disservice. Jermaine Clement is one of those actors. I will watch him in almost anything. He was one of the best reasons behind Men in Black 3, aside from Josh Brolin. Flight of the Conchords is great. Gentlemen Broncos is great. Like, the list goes on and on and on and on and on when it comes to Jermaine Clement. However, this movie...
Dinner for Schmucks?
Dinner for Schmucks. Oh my gosh. He
was so awesome in that. I loved him in that movie.
But this movie, it plays on a great premise of varying aged vampires that all live in a flat together. And it's basically their different lifestyles kind of coming together. The actual director himself plays one of the vampires. And he is actually one of the funniest characters in the movie because he's such a prissy... Everything has to be clean. It shows him bring like this, just not even ruining the movie. It shows one scene where he brings this girl home and he's going to eat her, and he puts down paper, like newspaper on the floor and on the couch, and she's sitting here watching him like, what the hell's going on? And he's like offering her tea and stuff like this, and he's laying out paper because he doesn't want to get blood everywhere. It's just the funniest damn thing watching this movie. And, Jermaine Clement is absolutely hilarious. He plays Vlad the Poker. Because that's what he does. He pokes people, or that's what he used to do, right? He was infamous for it. So, what was that?
Don't forget the swearwolves.
Oh, yes. So that's the other thing, too, is apparently they have a sequel written, or they're writing it, and it's going to be based on the werewolves. So in the movie... That's one of the things. One of the werewolves. So a pack of werewolves appears, and one of them curses. And the main guy, who actually used to play in Flight of the Conchords, he played their manager, the ambassador for the New Zealand, not Australia, by the way. He looks at everybody and goes, okay, that's just not needed. What are we, guys? And everybody goes together. We're werewolves, not swearwolves. It's just the absolute comedic nature of the dialogue is what sells this movie too. So great movie.
Hey, speaking of New Zealand, one I did miss, which I can't believe nobody else mentioned, was
I know what you're going to
Peter
say.
Jackson's Brain Dead.
Oh,
Yeah.
see, I hadn't gotten there yet, Dave.
Oh, sorry, man. I had to throw it out there. I'm like, New Zealand, Brain Dead.
So, yes.
What was the original name? Because, like, I always
Alive.
do it as Dead Alive.
Dead
Yeah.
Alive.
Was that the original, or was it?
Actually,
No.
Dead Alive, I think, was the North American
You are
release
correct.
name.
Okay.
Yes, Brain Dead was the original New Zealand title.
Yeah.
Dead
The thing that
Alive
I
was the
thought was so
American
awesome about that movie is like he revisited a lot of those locations in Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah, it's just
Like
amazing.
that whole beginning scene where like they're going through the ravine or like the valley, and it's got the weird rock walls. Yeah, that's in Lord of the Rings too.
Well, the beauty of this movie is that it's so obscure. There's a lot of people who have never actually seen this movie, and I'm constantly referring people to this movie, telling them, you are not really enjoying horror or comedy until you've seen this friggin' movie. Because it is just out to friggin' lunch. For years, me and David used to quote the shit out of this movie. You know, I kick ass for the Lord. You know, shit like this, right?
Yeah.
The movie starts off, if you ever notice, the movie starts off on Skull Island,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
Which is kind of a weird thing because years and years later, Peter Jackson did King Kong, the remake.
Yep.
Taking Skull
Exactly.
Island. You know, and just the effects. This movie was so satisfying because it was comedic, it was timed well, it was written well, but it was gory beyond imagination.
Yeah.
One of my favorite scenes of almost any horror movie or horror comedy for that matter is when he straps the lawnmower to his chest and just goes nuts on the horde of zombie creatures.
Classic.
And he, at the very end of it, he's slipping and sliding everywhere because there's just no floor left. Beautiful. Beautiful movie.
Hey,
Another movie that was sorry, I didn't mean
Oh,
to-
go ahead. Go ahead.
No, another movie that I forgot to mention. Actually, there's a bunch I forgot to mention. I have a extensive list now. But one of my favorite horror comedies is the Return of the Living Dead.
Yes.
Yes.
I love that movie, and like I love that movie, but it is so funny. My mic cut out there. Sorry. No, that movie, in my opinion, is so funny, and like they couldn't make a cheesy '80s movie like that today. Like
No.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I love that movie so much.
Oh, man. It's just the way that it is. So, I don't know if I said this on one of the other podcasts, but I started telling you this there, Tim, that time. So, Adam's story. Here we go.
We need a jingle, man.
We need a jingle. Ding, 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 ding. Something like, I don't know.
Like story time with Adam. Adam story time.
That was so much better than my ding, 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 ding. Jeez.
No, well, you can add to that. You can be ding-to-dinging in the background.
Nice. So,
Talk to me after the show. We'll put it together.
there you go. So after during my last trip to Los Angeles in my previous job, I sought out the Unita Medical Supply Factory. And I found it. And I took pictures of it. And it is exactly as I recall seeing it in the movies. The only thing that disappointed me was you could tell that the cemetery and the gates and all that stuff was either on a soundstage or in another place because that wall is there and it goes down the road, but that's it. There's nothing else there. But I did see the warehouse. I did visit the location. It was awesome. Didn't get to go in. Sat on the side of the road and took pictures, but it was still satisfying.
Is it? Was it an actual location, or was it like part of a set, or
No, it was an actual location. Like this.
like
this
what
was
is the
an
building
actual-
used? Was it used for the
It
building?
was just another warehouse when I was there. Just another storage
Okay.
facility of some kind.
Gotcha.
Yeah, no, it's there, and it's great. So, well, guys, I think that's it's a pretty good lead up into tonight's episode, and I think there's only one other thing that I want to mention before we get into tonight's episode. I got some pretty decent news there the other day. So, where I used to make some horror flicks, some shorts, I had submitted to have one of the ones that I'm kind of most proud of, be part of the Bloody Disgusting World of Death series that they have ongoing. So every episode they have 2 horror shorts from directors. So I finally got some paperwork and some requests for some changes, like changing the title cards and stuff like this. But the one that we did for the ABCs of Death competition, part 2, T is for Toe, will be part of the Bloody Disgusting World of Death, which will be great.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah. So, well, they have the right to reject it after the fact for any reason, they say, but that's all your standard legal mumbo jumbo. They sent me all the contracts. I've been reading through it. It's been pretty decent. Just got to make the changes. Found all the original files. On top of that, they did say that they are planning some form of DVD or Blu-ray release. So they're basically saying that nobody gets paid for this, but you'll have the option to buy some copies at a cheaper rate and sell them or give them away to your friends and family and stuff. So it'll be pretty cool, actually. I think maybe to have my hands on a physical copy that came out with stuff on it. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yay! Cool. So that's about it for there. I think what we're going to do, everybody, is we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about the movie du jour. Fancy words. Du jour.
I was so not expecting that.
Well, I could have been one of these ignorant people and be like the movie de week.
Oh, I literally was drinking coffee when you did that, and some went up my nose.
Well, that's what I'm here for, Tim. That's what I'm here for.
Thanks.
Dead Girl Superstar, Living Dead Pinups, a unique spin on the traditional pinup with a zombie twist. The official apparel of They Cast from the Coast. T-shirts, tank tops, hoodies, and more. The official store, www.society6.com/misunderstood art company. A must-have to zombify your apocalypse. Make sure to follow us on Facebook. Dead Girl Superstar from Misunderstood Art Company. Spread the dead.
Oh, jeez. Whoa, Jesus.
Did you see the way those guys looked at us?
Who wants to go skinny dipping?
No,
We got your friend!
they captured Allison!
Oh, it's some pancakes. You hate pancakes? I'm gonna make you something else.
What am I doing here?
Fell into the water. I dove in and rescued you.
We'll go find your friends. You should relax. Tucker and Dale are on the case.
What is this place?
It's just a cabin. It doesn't mean they're psycho killers.
Then why don't you go in there and talk to them?
All right. Maybe I will. I said maybe.
Dale, what are you doing?
Digging a shitter hole.
You mind if I help?
He's making her dig her own grave.
There's no rules out here. It's us against them.
Oh, good. Look, your friends are here.
Are you okay? Behind! Run! Run for your lives!
Saw your friend out there. He must be allergic to bees or something because he was running like a bat out of hell.
This is a suicide pact. These kids are coming out here and they're killing themselves all over the woods.
Oh, my God. That makes so much sense.
The girl that we have.
She can maybe explain the whole thing.
You've got another one inside.
Oh, she's in my bedroom.
Heads up.
Oh, you gotta take the safety off on the side there.
Don't do that.
Oh! Start being more careful!
Time to die, freak.
Double rope!
Don't use that.
All right, look, I'm going to wedge it from that side and you pull him out.
Oh, take it off! Get it off me! No, my phone.
Welcome back, everybody. So we are now going to jump right in to the main event for the night. What do we have on the books tonight? We have, and we've already mentioned this, I'll kind of bring us into this now. We have Tucker and Dale versus Evil. A very highly underrated, well, horror comedy movie. Plain and simple. The whole premise of the movie takes place when Tucker and Dale, best friends, decide to go to a cabin or a summer home that Tucker has bought for fixing it up. So basically a hunting lodge, a fishing cabin, etc., etc. They're going to go up to the cabin, they're going to fix it up, they're going to fish, they're going to play board games, they're going to have a fun time. The movie is one of these, I don't even want to call it a social commentary. I hate when people talk about that kind of stuff. The movie is literally a simplistic premise about not judging a book by its cover. The movie plays on two sides. You have a group of college kids who are going up the same way and cross paths with Tucker and Dale. And Tucker and Dale, as innocent as they are, basically are bumbling heroes, is what they basically turn out to be. And the college kids see them for nothing more than redneck, thieving, bloodthirsty assholes who are probably out to kill them, is what it comes down to. The premise itself was fantastic because when the trailers get released for this movie, it basically showed that what you would normally see in a horror movie, the redneck antagonist type of character, is actually the innocent in this case, being incorrectly judged. And there's a lot of ignorance being thrown around, and feelings are hurt, and people die. And that's where it goes extreme. Feelings are hurt, and then people die, period. So, this movie was, when I first seen the trailers, it was a must-see. And this is what David said earlier is true. I told him about it. He was like, what the hell are you talking about? He looked up the trailers. Everybody at that point was dying to see this movie. Unfortunately, it took a few years before the movie actually came out. Now, we had really seen trailers and public stuff for it about halfway through that. I think it was about a year and a half before it actually came out for us. But it was about 3 years total when the movie was actually filmed and prepared to be released after that. But it stars two great main actors, Tyler Labine as Dale, and Alan Tudyk as Tucker. Tim, give me some thoughts. Yes. Talk to me, buddy.
Some thoughts.
Give me some thoughts. Spill the beans. Talk to me.
Spill the beans. You definitely gave a good intro because I don't know what to say now. You're absolutely right. Like it is a social commentary without being all up in your face about it. About not judging a book by its cover, and life is too short. You got to go after what you want.
Yes, good point.
It's such a sweet movie. Do you know what I mean?
It is. It is.
The characters of Tucker and Dale are just so lovable and stunned and funny, and they're real people.
Yes.
And they're definitely being judged by their looks, and it's very unfortunate that these stuck-up college kids think that they're, murdering hillbillies in the woods. Mind you, what they look like, the cabin that they're going to go fix up doesn't really add, any change in that opinion.
It doesn't add any comfort to the opposite.
No. And I thought that both Tyler Labine and Alan Tudyk just totally nailed these lovable idiots in the woods.
Oh, yeah. Well, I love Tyler Labine in almost anything that he does. But before I get into that, Dave, do you got anything to add to what we were just saying?
I think Tucker and Dale is a refreshing movie because, I mean, watching Tucker and Dale versus Evil, we got a couple things going on. We got a couple different storylines going on, right? But I mean, the main storyline, we've all watched our Hills Have Eyes. We've all watched the Wrong Turn movies, and I mean, it's always about these inbred, redneck, hillbilly type folk that live up in the woods, live up in the hills, and they hunt the unsuspecting teenagers, the college kids that that come into their wilderness and whatnot. And to see it from Tucker and Dale's perspective, I thought it was just, why hadn't anybody done this before, right? I mean, it was so refreshing to see, and the comedy works on every level. Tim, Adam, it's like you guys said. I mean, these guys are so lovable. I mean, they're talking about fixing up the summer home. They're talking about, Tucker trying to tell Dale, help him go talk to the girl. Come on, you can do it. Like these guys are great, right? I mean, come on, don't be shy. I mean, he's holding the scythe, and he's like stumbling his words and trying to talk. And I mean, at that point, you get it, right? The light bulb comes on, and you see it from his perspective. He's nervous. He can't talk to women, and he's stumbling his words. But then looking at it from their perspective, he's a bumbling psycho that's ready to hack and slash them, and it's just it works. Like everything clicks, right?
Yeah. What was the quote he said? He was like, "Y'all going camping?"
That Tucker says to keep laughing, keep giggling, to keep the conversation going, or something like that. Yeah, it's like everything he says, he giggles, this maniacal. Oh man, it's great.
You guys all going up to the lake there?
Y'all going camping?
Y'all go camping?
Oh man!
And he's standing there with the scythe.
We talk about writing. The dialogue in so many different movies, because I mean, without a good story, without good dialogue, I mean, your movie can ultimately fall flat. And the dialogue for this movie, I mean, hats off to the writers. A lot of thought obviously went into it. Everything had to click. I mean, if one thing fell out of place, it wouldn't work. So, yeah, I mean, it worked. And I mean, on top of that, you get this hillbilly backstory, this murderous clan that, we do get some of the juicy stuff also, in addition to all this comedy. So it's something, it just works. It all works.
Yeah, absolutely. The first scene that you're talking about that has Tucker telling Dale, yes, you need to go talk to the girl. Don't think that she's better than you. Just laugh and progress the conversation, and he does that. It sets the entire mood for the movie. Even more so than the first time you see Tucker and Dale, when the college kids almost get hit by them when they're pulling off the road. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh God, they're going to pass us. And you see them going by and you hear the little music, and they're just looking like all stupefied at these college kids as they're driving by, and the kids are like, oh my God, they're going to kill us. Yeah. You know what I mean? The most amazing scene in this movie, the two, perfect. One of my favorite scenes in this movie is when the wonderful Katrina Bowden, who plays Allie.
She is so sweet.
Oh my God, she's so sweet in this movie, and she's like the perfect person in this movie, because she comes to understand. But when she falls into the lake and hits her head, and they go in and they get her, and the college kids look over and they see Tucker and Dale dragging her out of the water, putting her in the boat, and Tucker is trying to get their attention. Hey, college kids! We got your friend! And they're like, oh my God, they got Allie! And it goes from there. And that, at that point, because that plays again later in the movie, we got your friend, is the movie just keeps going and going in that same manner, where it builds up like it's going to be like this big, there's going to be a fight, there's going to be a battle, there's going to be good versus evil. Unfortunately for the college kids, Tucker and Dale is the good side. You know what I mean? So,
well, the thing that I really liked about this movie is that it hit all the horror tropes, like the type of scenes, but they were turned on its head. You know, like when they the college kids first find the cabin, and they're all huddled outside, and they're like, "Oh God, that's where they live," and Tucker's out back with his chainsaw getting ready to cut up some wood very innocently, and cuts right into I believe it was a hornet's nest.
Yeah, it was a hornet's nest.
All of a sudden, the hornets come buzzing out, and he comes running around the cabin, flailing his chainsaw very much in vein of Leatherface, screaming and mumbling, and the smoke is going everywhere, and like these poor college kids are like, "Oh shit!" Like, you know what I mean? Like,
your death is coming for us.
Yeah, it gets me every time. And then when one of the college kids ends up running in tandem with Tucker, and they both look at each other, and it's like, "Wait a minute, he's not chasing me," and he's like, "Wait a minute, where did that kid come from?" And then, bam, the kid gets impaled on like a fallen tree. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's just,
and that's the key thing. It's all circumstantial stuff, right?
Absolutely. And it's just, a very series of unfortunate events that just keep happening to these college kids. And poor Tucker and Dale are like, they're blaming themselves. They're blaming these kids. They're part of a killer cult, like suicide cult.
Cult.
It's just so. The scenes were very well written, and they're taking very familiar themes and scenes from other horror movies, but like I said, turning them on their head and giving a different perspective. Like, it almost makes you think maybe Leatherface wasn't such a bad guy. Maybe Mike Myers wasn't such a bad guy. They're just misunderstood. You know, poor Jason, he misses his mom. You know what I mean? Like, these are just misunderstood characters, and Tucker and Dale gave me that point of view with all these other horror icons. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's amazing that way. Yes,
exactly. Yeah, we start questioning why nobody ever sat down and tried to talk to Michael Myers.
Exactly. Like, just hear him out, give him a hug, something.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Yes, and just the various things that happen. One of the most realistic things in the entire movie for me, when it comes to the dialogue, is when they're basically sitting here going, "Okay, we need to call the cops," and Tucker looks at Dale and says, "And what the hell are we exactly going to tell them?" "Oh, hey, officer, it's been a doozy of a day, and wouldn't you know it, these kids just started killing themselves all over my property. What the? You really think somebody's going to believe that?" And the obvious nature of the situation is, this is what Tucker and Dale are seeing. These kids are killing themselves somehow and doing this shit, but nobody's going to believe them because they're covered in blood, and everything that's happening is on their property.
The funny thing is when the cop actually shows up, Tucker repeats word for word.
Yes.
"Well, officer, it's been a doozy of a day." Kids, you know what I mean? Like, and it's so funny. It's so funny.
But the best part about that is that the cop is like, "Okay, let's go in here," because they say that they have Katrina's character, Allie, in the cabin. And he goes in and he looks at them, and all of a sudden he relaxes and he goes, "Okay, guys, I told you guys not to come up here. This place is damned and deadly, and I said there was nothing but pain and death waiting for you." And all of a sudden he leans on the beam. And that's when he gets stabbed in the head by this huge piece of wood that's like just nothing but nails.
Yep.
And he comes running out of the building, and the kids are like, "Oh my God, they killed the cop!" But literally 5 seconds ago, the cop was on their side.
Yeah.
Like, they just can't win at this point.
No.
It was amazing. It was just amazing. Yeah. So, by the way, gentlemen, in honor of Tucker and Dale versus Evil, tonight I am drinking beer. So, it's not PBR, but...
PBR, buddy, PBR.
PBR, buddy. It is Schoolhouse Brewery from Windsor here. Falmouth, but they're moving into Windsor. But the last time I was down there, I bought a 32-ounce growler. Fits nicely in the hand, and I decided not to pour it in a glass. I am drinking it right out of the growler, so I am jugging it tonight, guys.
You need to come up with like a pitch, like, "Hits you like a mountain chinook running wild over an open plain."
Wow. Wow. Okay, for anybody from Schoolhouse Brewery that just so happens to be listening, Tim here needs to be hired to like juice. Tim needs
Straight
to be
out of the growler.
Straight out of the growler. Just like it should be.
Speechless.
Speechless, Dave. Speechless. So,
well, that's because my beverage of choice tonight has been an extra large double from my local Tim Hortons.
See, I am the anti-Canadian at this point. I prefer McDonald's.
You know what, though? I'm going to be absolutely honest with you, and I'm going to be a little bit of a coffee snob. McDonald's makes fantastic coffee.
Yes, they do.
But I find that the cream that they use, not a fan. So I normally buy it black, take it home, and put my own in.
Excellent.
Yes. But McDonald's coffee is a very good brew of coffee.
It is a very good brew.
Yeah.
Tucker and Dale. So let's talk about the actors here for a second. So Tyler Labine. First time I was ever introduced to Tyler Labine was actually when I used to watch
Breaker High.
Yeah, man, you beat me to it. Yes. I used to watch a lot of YTV after school, and there was a bunch of shows on, and one of them starred Tyler Labine, and on the show, his best friend was played by Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
And the show was, Breaker High, the story of the students out to sea on like a cruise ship school, basically, for the year. Yep. And Tyler Labine, he was like the character that I like related to. That was the character I related to on that show. And I was very much so happy to see him continue after that show, in different various roles and everything else. It was really good. The best things I've seen him do on TV in the longest time, though, was there was a TV show that was somewhat, it didn't really last very long. I think it only lasted like a season. It was like co-written by Kevin Smith. It was called Reaper.
Yep.
Good show.
Yep.
Had a great premise. Kind of teetered at the end of it. But Tyler Labine carried the damn show. It was fantastic. But
he was also in Kevin Smith's Zack and Mary Make a Porno. He made a cameo on that.
He played the late night stoned patron at the coffee shop. They're basically filming, and he walks in and he's watching them film the sex scenes in the coffee shop.
Yeah, and he's completely oblivious, and he's like, he just wants some coffee. He just got back from a night of drinking at a hockey game or football game or whatever. Yeah.
Yes, that's all he wants is a coffee. But there is another show that Tyler Labine does quite regularly. It's on Hulu, I think. It's an original show on Hulu, and I've managed to catch a lot of it when I was down in the States, especially. Deadbeat. So if you've never heard of or seen the show, it's actually watch the first season just to kind of get behind it. So the whole point is he plays this character. I can't even pronounce his name anymore. But basically he plays a psychic medium, but not of choice. So it isn't one of these, fake, characters where it's like, oh, I talked to the dead. No, he's like embarrassed by it. He doesn't want anything to do with it. The dead keep talking to him, and he just wants to frig off and live his life. But he ends up finding a purpose in doing this because he used to work with, or something like this, a one of these fake TV, or he begins working with one of these fake TV psychics. And he actually ends up trying to basically help people rid their houses and stuff, or their lives, of ghosts, because everybody has an unfinished business. So that's what he does. And the shit that he does ranges from everything from having sex with the ghosts down to, friggin' somebody's missing a body part and needs it. It's just crazy. But good show. It's on like a third season right now, and I haven't gotten that far into it by any means. But it's a good show. It's a good show. Then there's Alan. Then there's Alan Tudyk. Love Alan Tudyk. The most popular thing that he is known for is the unfortunately defunct Firefly.
Yeah.
Wash. So Firefly is one of those shows. I am a fan, just like pretty much every other geek out there in the universe. And
good.
We can never understand why there's no more Firefly. However, Serenity was a great movie follow-up to the series, but it left us wanting more. Period.
Yep.
I want more Brown Coat. I want it. The show needs to come back. But he's played some amazing characters. The guy does voice acting like you wouldn't believe. You see him in Firefly, seen him in Transformers, Knight's Tale, which was a good one with Heath Ledger, Dodgeball, an underdog story where he played Pirate Steve. Great movies. Yeah,
so
great.
I forgot about Pirate Steve.
Yes, all right. But we had a guy who acted like a pirate. What? But if you go onto his IMDb thing, his profile shows that he has done way more voice acting than actual acting. His voice acting chops is like everything Disney in the past 10 years. And just
a certain Disney movie coming out in December.
Certain Disney movie coming out in December.
Yeah, he actually plays. I forget the droid's name, but he's in Star Wars Rogue One.
Rogue One. Yes, he plays the med droid, the black droid that they have with them, the one that looks like one of the medical droids.
Yeah, one of the big Imperial droids. Yeah,
it's like AS-545 or something like this. Whatever the case may be. Don't kill me, people, because I don't know what it is. But yes, he does. He does.
You lost all nerd cred because of that.
Ah, damn. Sorry, I'll have to build myself back up. So,
you did. You started out so strong with, Firefly and Serenity, and then you got to give it back, man. You got to give the card back.
I'm keeping myself very virgin for Rogue One, so do not blame me. I know not too much about it except for the basic premise, and I've watched the trailers, and that's it. Keeping myself open for it. So, you know what? Can't blame me because it's not even out. Aha.
I will blame you.
Nerd cred redeemed. Give it back. There you go.
No.
But he's done tons. The new Disney one, Moana, which is coming out. He plays a rooster of some kind. He was in Big Hero 6 and Frozen and Zootopia and all this stuff. So he's been a very big fan when it comes to doing, he's been a very big fan favorite when it comes to doing movies. The guy's just very talented. I love the guy to death.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Katrina Bowden. I don't really know a lot about her and what she does. She's just done a lot of like basic comedy movies, like Movie 43, which is kind of an all over the place comedy. It's okay, but it's not fantastic by any means. But
there was parts that were funny in that movie, though.
Yeah, there were parts that were funny in this movie, but this is the movie to know Katrina Bowden for.
Absolutely.
Somebody says Katrina Bowden, the first thing I say is Tucker and Dale. That's all you need to know. Psh, done. So the movie goes on further. More havoc ensues as the teens, the college kids, my apologies because I keep calling them that, college kids. Yeah.
Got your friend. All right, sorry.
Exactly. As the college kids become more and more worked up by their leader, who leaves it upon himself to tell everybody about the story of the fact that he hates hillbillies and rednecks because his parents were killed in the Memorial Day massacre, which occurred in this very county, down by this very lake. And his mother was like tortured and raped and beaten, and she eventually escaped and gave birth to him, and he never knew his father. And he hates rednecks and hillbillies because of it, and so he's taken it as like a personal vendetta against Tucker and Dale to see them to their end. And although the character was well played, it was probably the weakest part of the entire movie. Is
a little bit
character.
I hated Chad.
I know you're supposed to hate him.
Exactly,
yeah,
and that was the point. Yeah,
you are supposed to hate him. I have no doubt about that. But it almost got to the point where certain times he was almost too well written, to the point where I wanted to punch him in the damn face, or I wanted to turn off the movie and take a break.
Yeah,
because he is just an asshole.
Yeah, there was a level of like, I feel really uncomfortable right now.
Yes, like watching this play out.
Yeah. Even though the scene near the end where they were having tea was great.
Yes, that was good. That was well done. So he kind of riles up his fans. Well, not his fans, his friends, so to speak. And they fall on his side, and he basically gets them to do whatever the hell he wants, which is when they decide to try to take over the cabin and rescue their friend, and more horror ensues. And that leads to one of, I think, everybody's favorite scene in the entire movie. where one of the quote-unquote suicide college kids jumps head first into the wood chipper. And it's a bloody brilliant scene because you have Alan Tudyk's character, Tucker, and he's loading the wood chipper.
Mind his own business, cleaning up his house. He can't wait.
He's got the headphones on, or not the headphones, the protectors, ear protectors on, the big ones. And he's just loading the thing, and he goes to bend down, and the guy just goes sailing over top of him. Like, straight out of a damn cartoon this happens. Yeah. And he goes head first, and when Tucker looks up, because something splashes him in the face, he looks up and he sees the kid going into the wood chipper head first. He starts freaking out and tries to pull him out. He's like, oh my god, and he goes to pull him out.
Okay?
Yes. And when he gets the wood chipper off, he's looking at like half the body, and he's like, are you okay? Fantastic. It one of the funniest scenes of the movie, because now he's covered in blood, and that leads to one of the funniest explanations when he gives the sheriff and even Dale that somebody just literally dove headfirst into a wood chipper. Who the hell does that?
But I mean, just think of it from Tucker's point of view for a second here.
Yeah.
You're minding your own business, and all of a sudden this guy runs out of the woods and jumps headfirst into the wood chipper. What would your reaction be?
Oh, I'd probably be half in tears just like he was.
You know what I mean? Like, that was a very realistic,
very human response.
Yeah, like, and Tucker and Dale aren't the smartest ones out there, but, like, it was a very realistic, and the scene right before it, that same part, when the guy runs at Dale and Allie and falls into the grave and impales himself on the spear he made.
Oh, and slides down the spear.
Yeah, and Dale, he's like, and he impaled himself. Like,
and then he just bled on me.
Yeah, down in this, I shouldn't say a grave. It was, the shithole for their...
Oh, but you know why you said it was a grave? Because when they first come upon them, Allie is helping him dig the shithole hole.
Yeah.
And they're all sitting there going, oh my God, they're torturing her. They're making her dig her own grave.
Yeah.
Because they really have this thought that they're going to kill their friend. So it's funny. The movie proceeds then, just more random stuff happens. And, we come to a wonderful conclusion. Spoiler alert, I guess. That we find out that the main character on the college kid side, his father was not the father. It was one of the rednecks. So then he takes it upon himself to take vengeance and all this kind of shit. And it was a great movie. Dave, we've been talking so much, man. You've barely gotten a word in edgewise. My apologies.
No need to apologize, man. I've actually enjoyed listening to you two going back and forth talking about this. I mean, I think we all share the same feelings on the movie. I had my little spiel earlier. Don't really know what else to say. I mean, I think it's a great movie. I think the comedy works on every level. It's I can't believe that nobody had done this previously. That being said, I can't believe that we haven't seen any imitations since then. I mean, normally when I'll call it a newer cult classic, hits the mainstream, you start seeing more and more of these types popping up. And it's not that we don't have our comedy horror movies, but I haven't seen any imitation Tucker or Dales, and I don't know. It's I love the movie though. I think it's a great movie, well acted, well written, and Tucker and Dale too. Hopefully, one of these days we'll get to see that.
Tucker and Dale go to Yale.
Oh God! Here we go. Next to the Tucker.
Listen to this though. Listen to this short treatment that Eli Craig, the director released. I think it was like 2 years ago. He basically said, "We have a treatment for Tucker and Dale go to Yale. For us, it's like a Dusk Till Dawn type of thing, where there's all these sort of demented people in college that Tucker and Dale have to figure out a way to survive.
Okay, I'm sold.
Yeah, me too. Like, I was like, Tucker and Dale go to Yale. That doesn't sound like a horror movie. And then I read it. I was like, yes, this sounds awesome.
I was sold to Tucker Dale too. Like, it just sign me up. I'm interested already. Yeah.
The really interesting thing about all this, though, is that Eli Craig himself, the director of the movie, I don't really know him from anything else. He was he did the pilot for Zombieland, the TV series, for Amazon when they were picking it up. Mm-hmm. So I mean, that's cool. And he was originally like an actor. He was in like the movie Space Cowboys, and actually he was in Tucker and Dale versus Evil. He was the cameraman at the beginning and at the end where you kind of see him. He was also in Carrie 2: The Rage, but there was not a lot else going on. And then all of a sudden he makes a short movie. He does Tucker and Dale. He did another TV series or two, and that's it. Like, he's got another movie in like post-production or something like this. But the guy doesn't have a huge portfolio. And it just makes me wonder why. Because he's already proven himself with me with Tucker and Dale.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see something, and it doesn't have to be Tucker and Dale 2. I want to see Tucker and Dale 2, don't get me wrong, Mr. Craig, but what else do you have up your sleeve? You know what I mean?
Because he's supposed to be a very competent horror director and writer, and obviously a fan of horror anyway, to throw in these kind of, little tribute scenes and stuff.
Yes.
Why hasn't he, I'm looking at his filmography right now, and the only other horror that I even see is the Zombieland
TV movie, which was the premiere episode or whatever it was, like I said, for Amazon. Yeah. And that was it. It's like, what the heck else is going on here? So, I don't know. I'm just... He's already proven himself to me with Tucker and Dale. I'd be interested to see what else he comes up with. There are a lot of other directors out there who are just continuously getting work that have not proven shit to me. Sorry. It just makes you wonder why the talent is sitting behind the scenes like this. And it's the same with, like, Michael Dougherty. Trick or Treat. And I finally... getting ready for, we want to do an episode on this during December, or I want to at least, so we'll see what we got here. I finally had the chance to see Krampus.
I thought you weren't going to watch it until Christmas time.
Well, I was... Remembrance Day happened, the wife started getting into a Christmas spirit, and I said, okay, fine, I'm going to kick off the season myself. It has to be a Christmas horror movie. So we sat down and watched Krampus the other night.
And what did you think?
I loved it. I loved it a lot.
Good.
Many different reasons. However, one of the things I keep coming back to is the fact that he has openly stated that Krampus exists in the same universe that Sam exists.
Yep.
So his movies, they don't tie together necessarily, but the universe exists in the same path. So you could see something in the future that kind of ties them together somehow, but... you never know. I was kind of hoping, not to give anything else away, but I was kind of hoping at the end we would see some sort of an homage to Sam or Trick or Treat when the final shots were occurring.
Oh, with the globes?
Yeah, exactly. And I was kind of hoping that something would have been seen, but nothing. So I even watched all the extras and the behind the scenes and the gag reel and the deleted scenes and the extended scenes and all that shit. I have it all on iTunes. And
nice.
I wanted more. So it was good. It was good. It kept me interested. So, but once again, it's just the fact that these directors are not getting the screen time that they should, and instead shit happens. People who you don't know or haven't proven themselves are still putting out movies, second-rate movies, unfortunately. And I'm not saying this, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying this to shit on anybody in particular. If you are making money for the production companies or you are funding it yourself and putting it out yourself, and it's a fun love thing that you have to do, all the power to you. That's all there is to it. That's great. I'm just talking about the fact that as a fan of horror movies, what I want to see is not necessarily, being done. My whistle is not wetted for some of the directors and some of the stuff that should be out there right now. I'd love to see. There is a list of directors I'd love to see more from regularly, or at least every now and then. So, and it just comes down, Eli Craig is kind of on that list now, but it's mainly just because Tucker and Dale, and it's just a friggin' tease at this point to me.
Absolutely.
So, excellent. Well, I guess Tucker and Dale, the discussion. Does anybody have anything else to add to that?
I think we covered pretty much everything I wanted to say. I mean, I think it's a very underappreciated horror comedy that more people need to see, because it's got everything that you could possibly want in a horror, just in a movie sense anyway. Like, just sitting down, you're entertained for 90 minutes. You're laughing, you get grossed out by some of the, or, you cheer for the violence. It's just, well-written characters, well-directed. Like, it's just a great overall movie.
Yeah, I agree. Dave, anything else to add?
Let me see. If any of our listeners have not seen Tucker or Dale, go see it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They should be paying us for this.
Yeah, exactly. They should be paying us. Yeah.
People, you need to go see this and
go see it. Support it.
Yeah, exactly. Eli Craig, you need to kind of hit us up here, guy. You know what I mean? Tell us what's up. Talk to us. So
one thing we didn't mention about Tucker and Dale is there is a Canadian connection. It was filmed in Calgary.
Yes. I forgot about that. Good point, Dave. Good point.
Yep.
That's a great point. Yeah, it was filmed in Calgary, which, good old Western Canada, which has been getting a lot of our movies, which has been great. So,
and Tyler Labine is Canadian. So, again, us being a Canadian horror-centric podcast, it's nice to it's nice to support the Canadians and Canadian filmmaking. I don't think Tucker and Dale is classified as a Canadian movie because it was made by an American, but the principal photography did take place in Canada, so in Calgary.
Nice.
And of course, one of the main actors, Tyler Labine, is he's from Ontario. So
we love Tyler.
Yeah.
He's a great guy. And
cool.
Look forward to everything that he does and says. So that's great. So guys, I'm just going to say, anybody paying attention and listening out there, anybody who's still awake, by the way. I'm sorry, I'm just assuming that we've put people to sleep at this point. Am I right? No? No, that's bad of me to say that. People enjoy the podcast. They're paying attention.
Yes.
They're still with us, aren't they?
Yes.
Excellent. So this is going to be one of those episodes where I'm actually going to say, I'm going to give this, Dave, I'm going to give you the reins for a second. Dave, tell them what our next episode is going to be. This is we haven't done this in a few episodes, so I'm going to say, Dave, because I want people to prepare. I'm going to say, by the time that you listen to this and you hear what our next episode is, what I want people to watch it before we do our episode, so that way you can relate to what we're talking about. And I'm going to say this because normally when we do an episode, people always come back, like Tim has even done, and said, hey man, I listened, we did the episode or I listened to the episode, I went and I watched the movie, loved the movie, great, what's next? We're going to give you the recommendation now, go watch the movie, come back, listen to the next episode, and follow along, and you'll understand a little bit more about what we have and what we're talking about. Dave, what are we doing next episode, buddy?
All right, so with the next episode, most of our podcasts have been rather mainstream. I'll classify Tucker and Dale as mainstream because it's on Netflix, it's everywhere. Certainly the Halloweens and the Exorcists and the Psychos. I mean, classic movies. They've been around for a while. They're somewhat mainstream. We decided to go against the grain and go with something next week that's not as mainstream as what we've talked about. A little more obscure. It's more readily available today, so it's recently saw a Blu-ray restoration and release through Arrow in the UK.
Yep.
And we are going to talk next week Slugs from 1989. Slugs the movie.
Slugs from J.P. Simon.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Classic movie. This was one of those movies where it was a blind rental me and David had years and years ago. We had already been very familiar with movies like, Mosquito and Squirm, stuff like this. And Slugs. It was on the shelf. We picked it up, took it home, loved every second of what we were watching, and to the point where I watch it regularly. It's one of those movies I probably put on once a year. It is regular to me, I guess, because there's so much to watch. But I usually watch this movie about once a year, and it never fails to just absolutely entertain me. Tim.
So if you haven't seen it, go see it and get ready for next week's podcast.
Yeah. Tim.
No, I've never seen it.
You've never seen it, and so
no. I've never heard of it. I've never seen it.
So Tim's going to do his homework too. I
can't wait. No, I've been reading some reviews on IMDb about it, and it sounds. I mean, I can't see why I wouldn't like it.
That's a very unbiased way to say it. Yes. Well, I've been reading some reviews, and I wouldn't like it.
The reviews that I've read have been very enthusiastic about this movie, and I know that you guys have spoken to me about it already, and you were equally as enthusiastic. So what the hell? It might be. I've never seen it. I'm always down to see movies that I haven't seen. So, yeah, I'm kind of excited.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Perfect. I can't wait to watch this movie again. I'm just going to have to refresh my memory on it, which really I shouldn't have to, but I will just because it is a great movie. And that is going to be the topic of the next episode. Following that, we're going to do one or two more episodes into November, and then we are going to do something very similar to what we did for Halloween, which is we're going to have laid out 4 movies specifically themed to the month. So when we get to December, we are going to be playing around with and talking around with about 4 Christmas-themed movies. And, got to keep up with the theme of the whole holiday season, I guess. So.
Oh, I can't wait. I know the lineup. I'm looking at it right now. I'm pumped.
Oh, it's a great one. And there is Canadian genre in there. Is there not?
Yeah. Yes, yeah.
Oh, yes.
There's one of the great Canadian genres in there.
Okay, you're saying too much, Adam.
I know. I'm sorry.
Down boy.
Shut up, Adam.
No, shut up, Adam.
Shut up. All right. So with that, this isn't exactly been the longest episode, but then again, some of them will come and go with, time will be longer in some, but I'd say it's about time that we wrap this up, gentlemen. And I say it's time to say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.